Hey y'all, it's Alex from You Should Craft, and today I'll show you how to crochet this super cute Alpine Stitch winter headband, or an ear warmer, whatever you want to call it. Before we get started, make sure that you subscribe to the You Should Craft channel and like this video, just so that you make sure you don't miss out on any cool free tutorials or crochet patterns. So sweet, let's talk materials. In order to crochet this Alpine Stitch headband, you will need a super bulky yarn. It's a number 6. I'm using Woolies Thick and Quick from Lion Brand. You'll also need an 8mm crochet hook and then Notion. So you'll need a tape measure to measure your head and to measure your headband as you're working on it, and then scissors and a tapestry needle with a wide eye because again, this is a thick yarn. So for the adult sizes, you're going to begin by chaining 10. So I'm making my slip stitch, inserting my 8mm crochet hook, pulling it tight, and then I'm going to chain 10. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's my starting chain. There are more sizes on my website. I'll put the link in the description below. So if you want to make like a child size, or if you want to adjust your sizes, just check out the full post and it'll show you how to do that. But again, I've chained 10. I'm yarning over and I'm going to double crochet in the 3rd chain from my hook. So here's 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to double crochet. It doesn't matter which loop of your starting chain you crochet into, because this side is actually going to end up being part of our twist. So I've done a double crochet. This is in US terminology. So I'm yarning over, inserting my hook. I'm just going into like the top loop of my starting chain, but it doesn't really matter which one you use. Yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarning over and pulling it through 2 loops, and then yarning over and pulling through 2 more loops. So again, for a double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through those last 2 loops. So I'm just going to double crochet across, and for this row and only this row, that chain 2 at the beginning is going to count as a double crochet. So when you're done counting that chain 2 at the beginning, you should have 9 double crochets for row number 1. So here we go. We can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're good to go. So now to get started on row 2, we'll chain 1, turn our work, and now we're going to single crochet. Again, this is US terminology, so we'll insert our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through those last 2 loops. Insert hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. So we're just going to single crochet across. This is abbreviated as SC, and you should have 9 when you're done. So this last one is a little bit tricky because we need to get into that top chain on our chain 2. Because remember, it counts as a stitch, but only for the first row. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 single crochets. So now we're going to start with our actual alpine stitching. So chain 1, turn, and now we're going to double crochet into our first stitch. Now we're going to yarn over and we're going to do another double crochet, but this one is actually a front post double crochet. So rather than going into the like V at the top of the stitch right here, we're going to go around this double crochet from row 1. So I insert my hook on the side, I go around the back, and I pop out. So from there, it's the same as a regular double crochet. So I'm pulling up a loop, yarning over, pulling through 2 loops, yarning over, and pulling through those last 2 loops. So you want to keep your stitch kind of loose so that then it ends up being the same height as the rest of the row. But now I'm going to do a normal double crochet. So I'm just inserting my hook into the V, like at the top of the row, just like normal. Here's my regular double crochet, and I'm going to alternate between the regulars and the front post double crochets, or fpdc. So now it's time for an fpdc. So I'm going around the back of this stitch from row 1, yarning over and pulling up that loop, and finishing just like a normal double crochet. Here is a normal double crochet. Another front post double crochet. Oops, my starting tail's getting caught. Here's the DC. fpdc. And then my last stitch of this row will just be a regular double crochet. So if you do want to change the size of your headband, you'll need to make sure you do it in multiples of 2. Otherwise it won't work out. So now I'm going to do another row of single crochets. So I'm chaining 1, turning my work, and just single crocheting across. So I'll have 9 single crochets. Whoops. So there are my 9 single crochets. And now I'm going to do the last row in my Alpine Stitch sequence. So this is made of 4 total rows. So we started with row 2. So I've chain 1 and now I'm turning. I've got my yarn over and I'm going to start with a regular double crochet. Oops, that ended up being a half double accidentally. So we'll redo that. So now I want my stitches to be offset from the previous row, that row 3. So now for row 5, I'm going to start with 2 double crochets. So I already had the 1, and here's 2. So now I'm offset and I can go ahead and start my post stitches. So here, between these front post stitches, I'm going to put another one. And then I'll just keep alternating between the post stitches and the regular double crochets. So now I've got 1 stitch left, and it's going to be another double crochet. So this row started and ended with a set of 2 double crochets. So now you can see how I had 4 post stitches in row 3, and then I've just got 3 for row 5 that go in between them. So you'll just keep alternating rows 2 through 5. So 2 was a single crochet, and then we had row 3, which had these 4 post stitches. Then we had row 4, which was more single crochets, and then row 5, which started with the 2 double crochets and had the 3 post stitches. So you will keep doing this until your headband gets to your desired width. So whatever your head size is, when you measure it with your tape measure, you want to subtract about 2 inches just for stretch, and that is how big you want to make your headband. So you can keep going for as long as you want. Like I said, you want it to be about 2 inches less than the circumference of your head because it will stretch. And you want to make sure you're ending on one of the rows that has the post stitches. So an odd numbered row. So for mine, I'm ending on row 37. And it looks like this is going to be a little bit bigger than what my camera can fit, but I've got my tiny tape measure, and whoop, you want to make sure you kind of lay it flat. But this is about like 21 inches. So now I'm going to trim a piece of yarn, and I'm just going to guesstimate the size. But we want it to be like 12 to maybe like 18 inches long, just so that there's enough to create our twist. So pull through all the way. Join your tapestry needle. And you'll have to be careful because, again, this is really thick, super bulky yarn. So it can be kind of tricky to get it in there. So lay out your work with the right side up. So the side with the post stitches where you can see this super cool Alpine stitch texture. It's kind of like diamondy. And then pinch the corners on each side together. So you should have these little like greater than and equal than signs. One on each side. And then these look like little mouths, and then you want the little mouths to kind of like make out, I guess. So put them together like this. It's a little bit hard to see because of all these yarn tails, but you'll be going in like this, which will make kind of a Z shape, or like this. It doesn't matter which way, which makes more of like an S shape, but you want them to be like tight in there. So again, I've got these little like mouths. I'm going to put them into each other to make like an S or a Z shape. And then once you've done that, you'll take a sec to kind of tidy up the area, because you want all of them to be like at the same height, because you're going to weave your tapestry needle in and out of there. And so you want to make sure you're like hitting all of the parts. So I'm going through all 4 layers with my tapestry needle. And I'm going to do it several times because I want my twist to be super secure. Because this isn't just the twist. This is also what is making your headband a headband and not just like a long strip. So now I've gone from one side to the other, and I'm going to go back just again to make sure it's like super secure. Because I want to be able to wear this headband like in the snow or take it off and throw it in my bag, and so I need it to be secure and sturdy. Okay, so now that I've done my twist, I can weave in my ends a little bit. I want to try to keep it on the back so it's not super visible. Go over the same area again, just to make sure it's really tight. All right, that one seems pretty good, but you could definitely do more. And you also want to weave in the ends on your little starting tail too. So I've got this guy left over, my starting tail from the very beginning of my project. I'm going to weave it in a little bit too. And again, I'm going to focus on this like middle twisty area, just because this is going to be on the inside. And then I know everyone always is like, no, you don't want to put knots in your work. But these have already been woven in, so I'm just going to knot them together to make it super secure. You don't have to do this. It's up to you. But then I'm just going to trim my yarn close to the knot. And you can see the knot, but this is on the inside. So now the very last step is to flip it back to the Alpine stitch side, where you've got all that cool texture. You might need to kind of pop out the twist a little bit more to make it how you want. But this is your finished headband. So you can go ahead and wear it or make some more, but you've got your Alpine Stitch headband done and ready to go. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you subscribe to the You Should Craft channel and check out the You Should Craft blog for more tutorials and free crochet patterns.